Trixie's Getting Back on Her Hooves by Shadow Raikou. Chapter 10, Checkmate, Part 3, Nightmare's End. Twilight blinked. What happened? She asked, looking around, seeing Checker standing before her with a rather demented and frighteningly familiar look on her face. Checker! What did you do? Why do you not ask your friends? The man replied with a dark chuckle, causing Twilight's eyes to widen in shock. So you certainly didn't do anything by it, Applejack's voice said, but something seemed off. Applejack? The mayor asked, looking over to find the farmer's fur grayed out. Her blood ran cold. What happened? I have absolutely no idea, Applejack replied, not hiding her eye very well. Stay away from him! Rarity? Twilight asked, fear welling up in her. Rarity was likewise grayed, standing between every pony around her and a giant boulder. You won't want Tom, but you can't hide him! No. Twilight stuttered, tears welling up in her eyes as she staggered back, right into someone who promptly kicked her off. Watch where you're going! Twilight looked back to see a grayed Pinkie Pie staring daggers at her. Twilight's eyes went wide. No, please, anything but this. Hey, Twilight! A bucket of water was promptly dumped on her head, followed by the bucket itself. Not you too, Twilight begged, removing the bucket to see the grayed-out Fluttershy laughing at her. Rainbow? Where's Rainbow Dash? Twilight turned and saw Rainbow Dash flying away, far gray. Tears streamed down the unicorn's face. Trixie? She begged, snapping around to find the mare grayed and staring out into space. Trixie? No, Pony. No, Sesame. Nothing. Trixie muttered again and again. Trixie, I'm here. Listen to me! The purple unicorn pleaded, steady right back in front of her, and not even being noticed. She leaned forward and used the memory spell, but nothing happened. Twilight staggered back, heart racing, shaking her head as she sobbed. No! This can't be happening. Not again. This doesn't make any sense. How could this be happening? She asked, watching her friends fight, argue, all over again. Chocolate rain began to fall, and she heard a deranged laugh from behind her. She turned to Checker. Oh, makes sense. What fun is there in making sense? Asked Checker in a voice that wasn't hers. Checker's body lengthened, horn glowing, and fur changing color. Twilight tried backwards, staring up in absolute terror. Discord! Discord let out a laugh as he stood above Twilight. That's right, Twilight Sparkle. You'll find that the magic of friendship is not going to save you this time. Goodbye to the rook who defended you so. 1 piece down, 5 more to go. Oh, ouchie, my head hurts, Piggy exclaimed, standing up and looking around. Checker was nowhere to be found, but her friends were all there, glaring at her. Oh, hello guys! Are we having a staring contest? Piggy asked, giving a smile. Typical! You don't even remember, do you? Asked Rainbow Dash, rolling her eyes. Piggy couldn't help feeling something was off with those eyes. Remember what? Twilight gave a growl. Come on! You don't seriously remember? Piggy gave a whimper. No. What happened? Trixie snarled, glaring at her. Thanks to you, Checker escaped. She's still out there, and it's all your fault. You never take anything seriously, and now it's cost every pony. Piggy's eyes widened. What? No! I like myself sometimes, but... Face it, Piggy, you're a big screw-up, Rainbow Dash spat. When did I even hang out with you, loser? She stated, glaring. Tears formed in Piggy's eyes. No, we're friends. Friends? Why should I be friends with someone who cares more about being funny than helping her friends? You're nothing but a goof-off. Maybe you should go find Gilda. She's probably a better friend, Fluttershy added, looking to the rainbow-maned Pegasus, but still glaring at Pinkie from the corner of her eyes. Maybe I will. No! Dashy, don't go! Pinkie cried, Rainbow Dash turning and flying away, Twilight walking off after her. Fluttershy, Rarity, Applejack, and Trixie following suit, leaving Pinkie Pie absolutely alone on stage. No! Don't leave me alone! Pinkie said in a broken voice, hair going straight, and colors darkening as tears flowed from her eyes. I care about my friends. There goes one happy night. Now, there are 4 more pieces to fight. Rainbow Dash groaned, slowly getting to her host and finding herself in Cloudsdale. Well, that was an impressive crash, but that was about the only impressive thing you did. Rainbow Dash looked over, seeing Spitfire glaring down at her with the other Wonderbolts. Spitfire? She asked, eyes wide. You are pathetic. There's no place on the Wonderbolts for you, Spitfire said. But something seemed off. Eyes didn't seem right. There never was. You always choke when it's time to put on the big show, don't you? Not like we ever want someone like you on the Wonderbolts anyway, Sword snarled, though his eyes seemed normal. Anyone who would abandon their team has no place with us! Rainbow Dash gasped. What? No, I never! She started. But I remember a time she had. Time that caused her nothing but shame. Really? I heard you abandoned them, said the Wonderbolt captain, but she seemed hesitant to continue. Yeah, what little choice and you left at the Discord's mercy. Soren picked up, glaring. Rainbow gasped, shaking her head, tears starting. No, I mean, yeah, I did, but you don't understand! Oh, we understand. You're a traitor, Spitfire growled, snarling. Probably why your friends aren't here. Why would they support a traitor like you? Traitor! 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 The Wonderbolts chanted, Rainbow staggering back. No, I'm not a traitor. I'm not, she muttered, covering her ears as tears streamed down her face. I didn't have a choice. And now the Royal Rook falls. 3 more pieces, and I win it all. Fluttershy shook her head, getting back on her hooves. What happened? Typical Fluttershy past that, Rarity said, glaring at her. The air surrounding her was a snarl. Rarity's eyes scared her. Probably got scared. Again! Rainbow Dash complained, rolling her eyes. Fluttershy whimpered, the insult hitting deep. I know I get scared sometimes, but... You're always scared, you coward! Rarity yelled, getting in her face. Especially when we actually need your help! Well, you know what? Forget it! We have better things to do than hang out with a funny little fool who's afraid of her own shadow! Fluttershy whimpered and staggered back, tears forming in her eyes. I'm sorry. I can't help it. Please don't be angry. Then we are angry because you are too much of a coward to stand up when we really need you to. The Fashionista growled, pushing Fluttershy in her back. As we are done with you. Fluttershy began to cry. No, I'm sorry, she muttered as her friends turned to left. Please, she muttered, sinking to the ground and crying her eyes out. The other knight is out of the game. 2 more spirits I need to tame. Oh, my eye can hide, Applejack muttered, getting to her hose and holding her head. She found herself back on Sweet Apple Acres. Ugh. What's all nice and happened? She asked, sticking her head to Clut. I'll tell you what happened, Science, said Apple Bloom, staring straight at her with eyes that made the far pony feel uneasy. You screamed at big time! That's what happened! Applejack gasped. What? What do you mean? So made you messed up. Big Macintosh growled, walking over glaring daggers. Didn't y'all know when you signed that contract with the bank? Applejack shook her head, backing up. What contract? I didn't sign anything! Then what do you call Vegas? The little filly yelled, pulling out a contract with Applejack's signature. But I don't remember.
You scatterbrain!
Big Macintosh bowed, getting in her face.
I said if we don't repair the loan, then we lose the farm. And thanks to y'all screwing up at the fair, we can't pay it off.
Applejack gasped, shaking her head. But I'll never. What are you saying? Apple Bloom yelled, bucking her sister in the face. Let me just say where you can learn something you want now. Applejack took a trot back. But
if you stay in mine hand, maybe you can learn a thing or two, and we won't be in this mess.
Big Mac yelled. Applejack shook her head in horror. I only came back because I'm an apple. I'll do it for you all.
Well, you don't deserve to call yourself an apple. You're another ball failure.
The eldest sibling yelled. Applejack looked up at her siblings, tears in her eyes. But I didn't mind to. I love my family. I'll never do that. The two siblings snarled and turned on Applejack, walking away. Don't leave! I'll never do that! I'll never let my family down. Farewell to the bishop so strong. Only one more soul to prove wrong. Verity gave a groan, waking out of her boutique. Oh, but I wasn't here before. Twilight kicked open the door. There you are! Twilight? Verity asked, rubbing her head. Something about Twilight's eyes seemed off. What's going on? The plan to stop Checker failed. That's what happened. The purple mare screamed, getting in her face. Because you were too selfish to even show up. Verity gasped. Oh, selfish? No, I'd never. Of course you would. You only care about yourself. You are always so greedy, the unicorn yelled. Verity staggered back, suddenly finding herself standing in a pile of jewels. No, I might let my greed get to the better of me from time to time, but I always put my friends first. Then why did you let Discord get to you with a stupid rock? Spike yelled, poking out from behind Twilight's back, growling. Spike? Verity asked, his eye shrinking to pinpricks. Discord makes you see a giant diamond, and you crumble like a house of cards. If that isn't greedy, I don't know what is! Spike yelled. Do you ever think about what someone else wants? Twilight shook her head as Rarity teared up. Always so selfish. I bet you got those jewels from Checker to bribe you off. Well, you know what? Maybe I should go find a new friend. She spat. One who'll not blow off something vitally important just to catch some beauty sleep. Or maybe because he's trying some jewels. Rarity put her hose on Twilight's shoulders. Twilight, please! Give me another chance. I'm not greedy. I'm not! I promise! Do you honestly think I let myself be bribed into betraying you? Twilight threw her hose off, turning and stumping away. Spike glaring at her. No. I'm not greedy. I'm not. And now, all the pieces are gone. It is time to bid the king so long. Trixie looked around, finding herself at Checker and Ponyville on the stage. But no pony was around. She immediately near her eyes. You dragged us into a dream, didn't you? Checkmate! Checker gave a completely demented laugh. That's right, she exclaimed insanely, her voice retaining its high pitch and giving a crazed look at her sibling. Trixie gave a gasp of recognition as the voice echoed in her ears. You know, Trixie had forgotten your true voice, Checker. You've hid it under that false one for so long, Trixie doubts you even remembered it. Checker gave a maniacal smirk. You know, I've been hiding a lot of things from myself, but no more! Trixie was stirred by her sister's change. What? What happened to you? Checker laughed again. Happened to me. It's simple. I finally stopped hiding from myself. This is the real me. I've just been burying this deep, deep, deep down inside me. But not anymore. I finally embraced the beast I really am. Checker stated, her gaze making Trixie feel like she was in a den of wolves. And you'll have lots of time to get to know the real me, because you're going to be here for a very, very long time. Trixie swore Chicker's teeth looked preparatorily sharp. Trixie snarled, getting in a pretty sorry pose. Trixie's getting back to her friends. She's just as strong here as you. Checker began to laugh dementedly. This is like smoke surging off and hiding her from the darkness. And with glowing yellow eyes and staring out, showing she was there. That's what you think. That I knew a few secrets, sister. The smoke surged around her, and light like a star exploded off of her.
Are you ready to face the beast that I am, Trixie? Come on!
Checker bellowed, her voice now a mix of her own and a monstrous growl as the smoke towered higher and higher, the eyes growing larger and larger. Trixie staggered back as the smoke began to part, feeling what her sister had turned into. No, not that! She said, her eyes wide and terror rushing through her, heart racing. In both the dream and real life, she began to break out in a cold sweat. She tried to will Checker's transformation away, but she couldn't. So Trixie just went running as Ursa Major's claws smashed straight through the stage.
You can run, Trixie, but you can't hide.
Checker bellowed, letting out a roar and tearing after her sister with a maniacal laugh.
Twilight, wake up!
Shining Armor begged, nudging his sister with worry and panic clear in his eyes. The only thing keeping him at all composed was the fact that he was the captain of the guard, and he needed to control the situation. And that barely overrode his protective instincts of his sister.
What's going on?
Yelled Spike as he and the Crusaders ran over. Helping Huff looked down at Trixie, who was twisting and turning in a nightmare, as were the others. But in her case it was different. She was in a cold sweat, heart racing, like she was scared for her life. She protected him, and the Diamond Dog simply cowered behind the group. Oh my gosh. Checker.
Checker's used her trump card!
Trump card? Scootaloo asked, racing to run out Dass's side as flare-sized birds surrounded her, and a couple returned with Angel, Sweetie to Rarity, and Spike to Twilight. What's going on? Asked Mrs. Cake, worry plastered on her face as she climbed down in the audience on stage, a crying pumpkin and a baby carrier. Mr. Cake was carrying Pound as he joined her. She looked down at Pinky. Pinky, what's going on? Checker. She knows the dream for infiltration spell. Helping Huff reported, watching the 7 ponies trapped in her worst nightmares. Johnny Armor gasped, a dream infiltration spell, but that's illegal! The stallion nodded, yes, and Checker knows that, but she's been using it as her weapon of choice for some time now. I know it was wrong of me not to tell anyone. I accept any punishment that comes with it. Shining Armor looked dumbstruck. But a dream infiltration spell should only work if they were already sleeping. How is she doing this? He asked, keeping a hoof on Twilight's back softly. He had to keep control. He was the figure of authority here. He knew about the spell, like he knew about most of the laws in Equestria. It was his job to know. It's like Twilight said. Ticker is overloading her horn to supercharge it. It's the only logical explanation, Helvinghoff replied, looking grim. And as you probably know, Shining Armor, the only way to escape the spell at this point is to force Checker out, or she lets them. And until then, you might as well be facing Discord. Shining Armor looked even more scared as he looked down at his listener, who now had no way of protecting, as did the others. Why is he doing this? Asked Scootaloo, not seeing the sense of it, even if she was a filly. She's already lost. Why doesn't she just give up? Because, ever since I've known Checker, one thing's been clear about her, Helvinghoff explained. She can't win. She makes sure someone else loses. This isn't her trying to win. This is her trying to take them down with her. A hush fell over the worried group, along with the crowd. Can't we just wake her up? Asked Mrs. Cake, looking over at Cheerily and Checker, who was seemingly in a trance. Shiny Armor shook his head. No, Forcibly breaking the connection could cause more harm than good. That's one of the reasons using the spell is so heavily monitored. But normally it only hurt the user. But with it forced like this, it's too big of a risk. We'll just have to have faith in them to stop her, he said, lying down next to his sister and putting a hoof on his shoulder. Twilight, you've got to fight this, he said, doing his best to keep tears out of his eyes and look strong for those around him. Spike looked between Twilight and Rarity, looking like he had to decide which of his own hands to cut off. Who should he help? The case laid down to Pinkie Pie. Pinkie Pie, we know you can do this, Mrs. Cake said, putting a hoof on her shoulder. Guys, if any of you are having flashbacks to Rainbow Rocks, I just want to say, this fic did it first. I'm not saying one did better than the other. I'm just saying this fic did it first. Both of them in that scene were pure awesome. Please, Twilight, Fluttershy, anyone? Pinkie Pie called, trying desperately to get her friend's attention. But he just kept going, leaving her alone. Pinkie Pie's head drooped, thinking about what happened as tears streamed down her face. How could this happen? She muttered, looking down at her hose as her color began to fade to gray. Rainbow Dash looked back, giving a cold smirk. Check. Mate. I thought Dashie would never, Pinkie muttered. Pinkie, we know you could do this. Pinkie Pie gave a gasp as he felt someone was with her. Someone familiar, comforting, calming her panicked mind enough to realize something. Hey! Wait a minute! Rainbow Dash was suddenly pulled straight back onto the stage. Pinkie, remembering her eyes as he looked into them. What? Rainbow Dash would never sing Do You Not Remember. That's way too formal for her, Pinkie replied, her fur returning to its normal color and being probably back to normal. Oh, and Rainbow Dash would never abandon me. She was the one who went through all the trouble to bring me to my surprise birthday party. She believed me, like Gilda was being a big me. Rainbow Dash wouldn't abandon me for one little mess up. None of my friends would. But Pinkie found herself still unable to completely take control. Rainbow Dash staggered back, but good air. Of course she would! I mean, I would! Why wouldn't I? You're a screw-up! You're a ditz! Pinkie Pie growled, but felt silicone down her spine. No! I'm not! That's not true! Rainbow Dash suddenly started laughing. Not true! I pulled it straight from your own mind! How can you not be true when it comes from yourself? Face it, what I was saying was merely your shadow. I was just giving it a voice. You can't deny it. These things are merely what you know about yourself to be true. Nothing more! Pinkie trotted back on the stage, came alive, trying to grab her, but she could do nothing to block it. Curtains wrapped around her and lifted into the air, helpless no matter how much she struggled. Go on! Keep denying it! Keep thinking it isn't true about yourself. It won't change a thing. I'll still win. Rainbow Dash cackled, sharp boards rising up and pointing at Pinkie. Pinkie looked down, thinking as he tried to think of what to do. Then suddenly went a bit serious. You're right. I know I mess up sometimes. I know I don't make sense to anyone but me sometimes. And I know I can be a ditz. But I'm proud to be a cookie-friendly, party-loving, pick-a-me-a-Diane pie! And my real friends love me for who I am! Pinkie replied. Which means you're not Dashie! Pinkie broke three of her bonds and grabbed Rainbow Dash's mane and pulled her head off like a Scooby-Doo mask, revealing Checker Monarch beneath it. Checker! I should have known. Yes! And I would have gotten away with it were it not for you meddling pony! Wait, why did I even say that? Checker asked, blinking. Their eyes widened as he realized the amount of control Pinkie had suddenly had. Because you're in my dream, silly! Pinkie exclaimed with a chuckle. Oh, and here's the part where I do something awesome to break out of the dream. Now, what to do? Ah, I know! She exclaimed excitedly. Hey, Checker, do you like cupcakes? Huh? What's that supposed to? Ah! Huh? I threw a cold cupcake, not one fresh out of the oven. Ugh, you little... Checker yelled, tearing out the hot cupcake. You'll pay for that! Pinkie gave a cheerful grin. You have to get me first! Pinkie Pie yelled, jumping up and giving a bing before taking off. Checker a hot pursuit. After a while, Pinkie stopped in front of her tracks and Checker kept running. Oh, you're gonna need this! Pinkie called, handing her a one sign marked Oop! In black paint as he ran past. Checker blinked, coming to a stop as she looked at the sign. She then gulped, looked down, screaming as gravity suddenly sent her falling due to her having run straight off a cliff, making a cartoony cloud of dirt when she hit the green, and the dream shattered. Scootaloo put a hump on Rainbow Dash's shoulder. Rainbow, you're the best! There's no way some jerk is going to beat you, so don't you let her! I know you're going to win! Traitor! 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 Chanted the Wonderbolts. No! I... Rainbow Dash muttered, curling her ball and holding her ears, tears streaming down her face. Her colors began to gray. I was just trying to save Cloudsdale. Spitfire smirked. Checkmate, she said under her breath, too quiet for Dash to hear. Rainbow, you're the best. There's no way some jerk's going to beat you. So don't you let her. I know you're going to win. Rainbow suddenly gave a gasp. She could feel it. Someone was there. She could see them, but she wasn't alone. She looked at the Wonderbolts around her with a more careful eye before color returned. Wait a minute! Rainbow Dash got up, glaring at Spitfire. It hit her. Those eyes! I may have made a bad choice, but the real Spitfire's my friend. She's not mean like this. Unless, of course, she's in her general role in captain mode. But off duty, she is one wild party mare. And a great friend besides. Spitfire's eyes widened. Well, maybe you do not know her. I mean, me as well as I did. Unlikely. And the real Soren's my friend too. And I know he's nothing like this. Rainbow Dash stated, looking to Soren, who suddenly softened. The real Wonderbolts are all cool ponies. Not one of them would act like this in real life. Sure, they act like a military group, but that's beside the point. And I know that because I've met them! Spitfire staggered back. You actually know them? She asked, eyes wide. Rainbow Dash nodded, pouncing on Spitfire, pounding on her. I saved 3 of their lives, but you wouldn't know that, would you? Checker! Spitfire snarled, disguise dissolving into Checker's true self. Kicked Rainbow Dash off of her. Rainbow tried to alter things, but found herself unable to. That doesn't change the fact that you're a traitor, Checker yelled, getting to her hooves. You still betrayed all your friends to discord! Rainbow Dash took a trot back. You don't understand. I'm not a traitor! None of what you said is true. It can't be! Checker gave a laugh. Not true. I pulled it straight from your mind. How could it not be true when it comes from yourself? Face it, what I was saying was merely your shadow. I was giving it a voice. You cannot deny it. These things are merely what you know is true about yourself. Nothing more. A tornado suddenly picked up and tossed Dash hard against the cloud building. No matter what she do, she couldn't will it away. Come on! Keep denying. Keep trying to say that isn't true. No matter how much you deny it, you know in your heart it's the truth! Checker yelled. Rainbow Dash looked solemn, thoughtful, then looked at Checker. No, it doesn't change what I did, does it? But you know what? I had to choose between my best friends and Cloudsdale. And I made a bad choice because there wasn't a right one. She stared, looking up as she got to her host. I had to choose between two things I'm loyal to. Two things that mean the world to me, and I had no choice. Discord won no matter what I did. And if I was in that position again, I'm not sure what I'd do. But I know if I had a choice, I'll always try to save both. If not, I'll just have to make sure the choice I think is right and hope it's the right one. Rainbow Dash turned and bucked a tornado, scaring it and producing a clear sky. Pegasus chuckled. I think that's my personal best for clearing the sky. Checker took a fighting pose. Well, you won't beat me. Rainbow Dash looked at what they were standing on, to back at Checker. You don't have to, she said with a smirk, imagining simple physics taking over. You're not a Pegasus. Checker's eyes grew wide. Not again, she muttered, before screaming as he went plummeting through the clouds, and the dream shattered. Boom! Life-size birds landed on her, and the angel sat next to her, looking genuinely worried about her. He produced a brush and gently started brushing her hair, like he did when she was heartbroken over the tornado. Coward! The 6 ponies surrounding Fluttershy chanted over and over again. I know. I get scared, Fluttershy muttered, crying her eyes out and color slowly graying out. But, please don't leave me. I always do everything I can help you. I really try, she muttered, lowering her head. Rarity gave a cold smirk. Checkmate. Ha 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 ha, she said to herself with a cold chuckle. Fluttershy sobbed. They gave a small gasp, feeling a tug on her head. She felt like someone was pressing it. She felt like someone was there. Someone who cared about her. Her animals? Angel? Whatever it was, it helped her to think. Wait, she muttered, something occurring to her. She got back to her hose with her fur returning to normal. I always do my best, and you said that's all that mattered. The others turned around and looked back at her in shock. What? When I was weak during the tornado, it was Twilight and Rainbow Dash who kept saying it didn't matter. Fluttershy said, narrowing her eyes. My friends accept me for who I am. But, you're weak and helpless. A coward! I know I'm a coward. I know I'm weak and helpless on my own. And so do they. Randy took a couple of trots back. You mean you don't deny it's true? You're not supposed to already accept your flaws. I don't. But they and I both know that when I'm protecting them, I'm brave. Fluttershy said, noticing Rarity's eyes, recognizing them. Then gave Rarity an intense glare. The stare, causing Rarity to freeze and stagger back. You're not Rarity! Are you listening, Maiken? I'm just saying. Rarity shed her disguise to reveal Checker, who glared back as intensely as possible, the two glares colliding. You won't beat me, you little coward! I may get scared easy, but right now, you're hurting my friends too, aren't you? Fluttershy yelled, narrowing her eyes further and intensifying her glare. And I'm more afraid of my friends being hurt than I am of you! You people see why sometimes when things like what Micah does to Fluttershy, or where Fluttershy is shown too weak, I get ticked off? This is the real Fluttershy. Thank you. Checker began to sweat and backpedaled. This is impossible! She shook her head and jumped at Fluttershy, returning to a swarm of pink and yellow butterflies, re-following after dodging Checker. I'm warning you. Let me go help my friends, Fluttershy said, dead serious as she glared at Checker. Checker snarled and leapt at her again. This time, Fluttershy shrunk down, literally, and Checker came to a landing behind her as Fluttershy finished transforming. I warned you. Checker turned around to face her. Now get out of my way! You will not hurt my friends! Fluttershy yelled at the top of her lungs. Now a cream-colored skunk with pink stripes just sprayed Checkered right in the face, sending her staggering back and coughing and gagging. Checkered then gave a scream as he backed off the stage and fell, shattering the dream. Applebloom hugged her sister, Big Mac climbing up on stage from the crowd, helping Granny Smith up, both rushing to Applejack's side. Come on, Slice! Your turn for the Slice! You're the toughest there is! No way you can't like somebody like Checker beat ya! Applebloom pleaded, tears in her eyes. Right? Playing Macintosh? The eldest Apple sibling put a hoof on AJ's shoulder.
Yup.
Applejack hung onto Big Macintosh's legs, tears running down her face. Please! Big Mac! Applebloom! Don't! I can't lose my family! Not again! Mary yelled. Before she was kicked in the face, knocked to the ground. She lay there, covering her face with her hat as her colors began to gray. I can't believe this is happening. It don't make any sense. Applebloom looked back with an icy smirk. Take might. Applejack began to gray more. Come on, Slice. You're tougher than Slice. You're the toughest there is. No way you're gonna let some pony like Checker beat ya. Big Macintosh?
Yup.
Before she felt someone hugging her, she looked up at her family and felt nothing from them. But she still felt her family, just from a different place.
Now wait a cockin' pigeon minute!
Applejack got back to her hose, coloring returning as he gave a smile.
Well, this can't happen. You know why? Because this almost happened before. We didn't go disown on Granny Smith for getting us in that mess with the Flim Flam brothers!
She yelled, causing Big Macintosh and Applebloom to turn back on her in shock.
The Apple family's tight-linked. We ain't splitting up!
Applejack looked down at Applebloom, looking at her in the eyes, but still couldn't influence her dream for some reason.
And them ain't the eyes of my little sister. I almost screamed all day and say it before.
Applebloom growled, transforming to Checker. You still failed your family.
You're still ignorant!
Applejack staggered back.
No, I'll never let my family down, and I ain't dumb, but ain't true!
Checker gave a psychotic laugh. Not true. I pulled it straight from your mind. How can it not be true when it comes from yourself? Face it, what I was saying was merely your shadow. I was just giving it a voice. You cannot deny it. These things are merely what you know is true about yourself. Nothing more. The apple trees around him morphed into one similar to Nightmare Moon's illusions. It bited into Applejack with vines and slammed her to her fence. Go on! What are you were saying? That it isn't you? Say all that you want. You know it's true. Applejack looked down sadly, then gave a serious look. You're right. I have failed him. I haven't always done what's right. Sometimes my pride got in the way. And I did leave Manhattan before I could learn book smarts like my aunt and Uncle Lawrence wanted me to. But you know what? Every single time my family has always had my back. They're always cared about me more than that mess up. When I failed at the rodeo, all they wanted was me home. So as long as I try my hardest, I ain't letting them down. Applejack ripped herself free, got back to her host. I'm there. I don't like the smartest pony. Sometimes I really wish I was. I could still learn some of that stuff. Just gotta be a little stubborn and ask for help doing it. Checker gasped. What? All of you. It's not possible! Oh, it's possible, you old nag. Now get out of my head. I've got more important things to do. Applejack yelled, glaring. Now, I know I could do some fancy thing, but I'm not a master pony, the apple farmer explained, before running up and bucking her in the face, sending her flying. So, I'll just do it the old-fashioned way, Applejack said with a smirk, the dream shattering. Shining Armor looked at the conflicted Spike, who was practically having a nervous breakdown trying to choose whether to help Rarity or Twilight.
Spike, go help Rarity. I've got Twilight.
Spike blinked, looking at Shining Armor.
You sure?
Shining Armor nodded.
Yeah, go!
Sweet Belle hugged her sister. Rarity, you have to win. You're my big sister. And I know sometimes I get on your nerves, but I love you, sis. I don't know what I'd do without you. Spike came over, putting a claw on Rarity's shoulder.
Rarity, you can still kick that witch's tail! I know you can!
No, I'm not greedy. Rarity muttered, shaking her head with tears in her eyes as her coat dulled. Please, this doesn't make any sense. My friends, why would they? She muttered. Twilight smirked coldly as she walked. Checkmate. Rarity, you have to win. You're my big sister. And I know sometimes I get on your nerves, but I love you, sis. I don't know what I'd do without you.
Rarity, you can still kick that witch's tail! I know you can!
Rarity felt someone hug her, a claw on her shoulder. She couldn't see anyone, but she could tell they were there. Sweetie Belle, Spike, and that brought something else to her mind. Wait. Rarity's coat returned to its proper color. She grabbed Twilight with telekinesis and pulled her back. She tried to alter the drain to bring her to face her, but found herself unable to. My real friends would never abandon me for being greedy. Twilight is the one who saw I was fit to hold generosity, she yelled, looking at Twilight's eyes, recognizing them. You're not Twilight, are you? Twilight growled, headbutting Rarity and knocking her back. The sky shattered, revealing Checker beneath it. Your friends may refuse to see it, but you're still greedy. You let temptation get the better of you. Rarity cringed and shook her head. No, I'm not greedy. Discord! He brainwashed me! That isn't the truth! Checker gave a laugh in response. Oh! Not true. I pulled it right from your own mind. How can it not be true when it comes from yourself? Face it. What I was saying was merely your shadow. I was giving it a voice. You cannot deny it. These things are merely what you know is true about yourself. And nothing more! The sewing machines came to life, sending out fabric to grab Rarity and slowly drag her towards the needles. Go ahead. Say it! Say you're not greedy. Say it's all a lie! Clearly a part of you thinks otherwise, or I wouldn't have dug it up at all. Rarity struggled, trying to escape, but she just couldn't alter anything. Then she got thoughtful. You're right. I am greedy. I did crumble under Discord's temptation. I want things, because when I was young, I had so little. But my friends know that. My little sister accepts that. They accept that I can be greedy sometimes, but they're the ones who remind me that I can be generous, even if it's bit me in the flank. It makes me happy to help someone less fortunate than I am, she exclaimed, breaking free of her bonds and glaring daggers at the mare. But you wouldn't know that, would you, Checker? Because you care so little about every pony else, you ruin your own sister just because you're jealous of her! That's because every pony are just pawns for me to control, Checker yelled, jumping at Rarity with a snarl. Hiya! Rarity yelled, falling back and planting her hind legs into Checker's gut and propelling her out the window. She'd been tempted to imagine a Prince Charming to do that, but had always hated being the damsel in distress. Boo! You go where? Twilight, Shining Armor murmured, seeing the gray climb up on his little sister. Tears forming in his eyes, he finally hugged her. Twilight, you could beat her. Please. I know you can. I believe in you. I always have. Twilight ran to each of her friends, desperately trying to use the memory spell, but it didn't work. And Pinky kicked her, knocking her on her back. Twilight's fur began to gray as she staggered away from her corrupted friends at Discord, shaking her head with tears streaming down her face. No, this can't be happening, she muttered, feeling crushed by the weight. Not again. Please. Anything but this, she said, shaking her head. Face it, Twilight, Sparkle. You are all alone. You have always been alone. But that's how it is when you realize something as weak as friendship. Discord taunted, laughing with a smirk. Maybe you should just head back to Magic Kindergarten, he said, putting a dust cap on her head. Twilight kept trotting backwards to the edge of the stage, looking around desperately, trying to figure out what to do. The gray almost reached her head. Twilight, you could beat her. Please, I know you can. I believe in you. I always have. Well, she felt something. She opened her eyes and briefly saw nothing, but felt something, someone's presence. Shining armor? And then it hit her. Wait a minute, said Twilight, narrowing her eyes. Where's my brother? Discord blinked, blinking. Brother? Twilight's fur returned to normal. My brother was here when that flash went off, but now he's not. And you know, one thing I know Discord would do if he had the opportunity? Hurt my brother right in front of me. That's the kind of game Discord would play. In fact, you know what? There's no game here. So? Discord was all about his games. He just wouldn't show up and brainwash all my friends. He'd make a game of it. Twilight replied. And a real Discord would know I had a brother, because he somehow knew everything about the six of us. But you wouldn't know that, would you? Because you're not Discord! Discord snarled, head moving down to check her, though retaining the horns. Well, she is the devil. Why are any of you playing along? You're supposed to be crushed! Twilight smirked. Because your sister taught us your grandmother's dream trick. All six of us! But that shouldn't matter. You shouldn't be able to use it. Not with what I'm hitting you with. I can't speak for the others. But me? Discord already did this to me once, Checker. And in the end, all it took was a reminder of what my bonds meant to me to beat it! Just like all it took was remembering my bond with my brother, to realize Discord would have used that against me! Shut up! Twilight smirked. Well, guess what? We fought the real Discord. And you are no Discord, she said, suddenly in full wizard garb before blasting Checker with a powerful spell, shattering the dream. 6 Checkers were thrown into a black void, colliding and melting into one. That's better! Rainbow Dash exclaimed, flying down and smiling. Darn tootin'! Applejack exclaimed, trotting up. Oh, thanks to Celestia, everybody's all right. Fluttershy cried out, flying down to her friends. Quite right, Rarity added, trotting up. Good. Every pony made it past Checker's games, Twilight stated, trotting up with a relieved expression. She then blinked. Wait, where's Pinkie Pie? Whee! Yelled Pinkie Pie, falling from the sky. Imagining a bouncing house that she landed on and bounced out. Hey everybody, you're all here! The 6 all hugged each other. There's always time for a group hug. Alright, so what the hey is going on here? Rainbow Dash asked, confused. How's he doing this? Twilight narrowed her eyes at Checker. She's using a dream infiltration spell on all of us, aren't you, Checker? Checker guessed. Hell did you? I suspected it when I read about it and recognized your eyes from my nightmare. Let me guess. That spell you used before you dragged us in here was to scan for our insecurities, our fears, the things that hurt us deepest. But you need our imaginations to fill in the blanks, don't you? It's probably a spell that came with your special talent. But like you're doing with this dream infiltration spell, you supercharged it so you could find out all our insecurities at once. Twilight replied, glaring at her. You introduce our fears, but you can't read our minds. You only see things that we're afraid of. You needed our brains to do the rest. You can't make me see Shining Armor being discorded, because neither of us know what Discord did to him. Applejack snarled. Well, it's over, you snake! We're getting out of here! Like I will let you, Checker stated, rising up and looking calm and collected. You 6 do not understand, do you? She asked, limbs forming on her back on her clothing. In this world, I am not any mare. I am the queen here. I am invincible! She stared, two huge wings erupting from her back, as her forces grew jets of an alicorn, and her mane turned into blood-red energy. I am the alicorn, and you are just pitiful mortal ponies! Pinkie gave a yawn. Ah, that's our final boss. Really? What? Rarity smirked. It's hard to be intimidated by a fake alicorn when you've got to do a thing, she said. We're the ones who beat Nightmare Moon at Discord. You didn't know that, did you? She asked, Checker's face saying that much. Oh, come on! Rainbow Dash exclaimed, annoyed. Why don't ponies remembered we saved the fucking world? Twice! 3 times if you count Season 4. 4 times if you count the opening to Season 4. Does Crystal Empire count as the world?
Yes.
Probably because we don't wave it around like a flag, Rarity said. Most of the Ponyville knows. They just respect our wishes for a normal life. I suppose the most elegant elites don't bother to keep track of things that don't directly affect them. Twilight looked at Checker. Facing our inner demons, it hurts, and it's broken us before. It's hard to overcome them. But stopping people like you, that part is easy. So long as we have each other. They concentrated, and 6 dots of light manifested above their heads, transcending and transforming into their elements of harmony. Impossible! Checker taking a few trots backwards. That's why people like you, Discord, Chrysalis, and Sorcerer always try to split us up, isn't it? Asked Rainbow Dash, her element of loyalty activating. Because you know how strong we really are! Rarity announced, element of curiosity lighting up. Because you know, as long as we're together, Forsyth continued, element of kindness likewise activating. We ain't gonna lose! Applejack chimed in, as the element of honesty ignited. So you break us up because you're afraid of us, Pinkie Pie added, laughter joining its fellows. What's so silly? Why don't you try being our friends instead? No! No! Checker exclaimed, staggering back in shock. Dizzy growled and opened fire on them with a beam from her horn, only for a dream manifestation of shining armor to block it with a magical shield. Guys, you know, if you want to play the English version of Moon Revenge right about now, be my guest. She suddenly had a whip wrapped right around her wings and chest, pinning her down. She looked to find the whip in the mouth of Daring Do, as Dream versus a big Magachoss and Apple Bloom, throwing a rope around her and pulling it tight. A stallion fitting every depiction of a Prince Charming character from stories joined him by throwing a rope around her horn and pulling it taut, followed by a darker furred, straight-maned version of Pinkie using party ribbons. You know, this is the only problem with this fic popping up around the end of Season 2. You and I both know that if given a chance, that would have been Pikamina. That would have been Maud friggin' Pie showing up! Flare-sized animals assisting her. Finally, Shining Armor put a barrier around her to hold her in place. Thanks, Maud! Pinkie called, waving. Maud Pie waved back. There, I fixed it. You're afraid of us, because you know what we do. Twilight added, magic finally joining the others as they floated in the air, magic forming around them. Friendship is magic! With a colorful shockwave, a rainbow burst forth from the 6, flying through the air and arcing down at Checker. Taste! Fall! Rainbow! Mother! Ducker! No! Checker yelled as the rainbow washed over her, and the world vanished in a flash of light. Shining Armor gasped, watching Twilight settle, and her fur returned to its normal color, as did the other 6. They must be winning! He said, giving a smile. Helping Hoof looked down at Trixie, who, while not graying, was in a cold sweat, twisting and turning in complete panic. He could feel her heart racing, her breathing become erratic. If she didn't turn things around soon, she could have a heart attack. Trixie! Helping Hoof started crying. This is all my fault. If I just stopped Checker sooner,
Maybe this would happen.
Stop the naming yourself for something you're not responsible for.
Helping Hoof gasped, looking over to see Helena heading up the stage. The guards tried to stop her. Miss, please stay back. This is dangerous. Helena stopped to guard a glare. Only a parent or a grandparent whose child had danger commands.
Yes, and my granddaughters are in the thick of it. I kindly request you to allow me through, so I may help her.
She stared, not an ounce of malice in her voice. The guards gulped. They looked to Shiny Armor, who after a moment thinking, nodded. Sorry, miss, our mistake. Helena gave them a thanks and walked past, over to Trixie and Helping Hoof.
From the looks of things, you're the only one who stopped Checker after all, so don't go blaming yourself for her doing.
Helena, but Checker is... Helena sighed sadly.
My granddaughter, and I still love her, but I'd be a blind mare to see she's gone too far and has to be stopped. I tried to protect them every way I could, but I couldn't protect Checker from herself.
Helena lay now down to Trixie.
Now come on, let's get Trixie through this, both of us.
Helping Hoof nodded slowly and went down to Trixie.
Trixie, I know you're strong. Don't let Checker rule you a minute longer. You're stronger than she is.
Helena nodded and hugged her granddaughter, showing considerable strength just to restrain the panicked mare.
Trixie, I've known you since you were a filly. You're stronger than Checker, because you're not afraid to listen to your heart. You've got your friends. You have me. We're behind you all the way.
Trixie panted, hiding behind a building, hearing the crashing of footfalls all around, trembling in absolute terror. She was having terrible breathing and was in a cold sweat.
I know it's a dream, so why can't I change anything?
Checker let out a demented laugh, stopping through Sugar Cube Corner.
You want to know why? Because you're a weakling, a coward.
Checker yelled, with the ancient grain of restraint and refinement.
You've always been weak. Remember when we were kids? All the times you got into trouble and didn't know why. All the times everything was going so right and it went wrong so suddenly. That was on me.
It was I, Checker!
And you knew it, didn't you? But what happened every time you tried to stop me? You failed. Those last 2 times were just flukes. You're not strong enough to beat me. And you know why. Because I'm strong and you're weak. I'm big and you're small. I'm right and you're wrong. And that's how it always will be.
Trixie continued trembling. They covered her mouth a muffled scream as it clawed towards the wall nearby. Checker daintily started searching elsewhere, giving her a moment to breathe.
She's right, she muttered. I'm a coward. I'm afraid. I am weak. I can't beat her.
Trixie, don't give up! Don't ever call yourself weak! Trixie blinked.
Rainbow Dash!
Trixie, we know you can beat her. Don't quit! Twilight's voice called. They're right. You can kick that mare's flank. Kick her out of your head! Applejack climbed in.
You helped us conquer our nightmares, Trixie. We know you could do the same,
Rarity cheered.
Trixie, go Trixie. I really do believe in you. That's not good at cheering. Woohoo!
Go, Trixie, you can do it!
Biggest excitable voice chanted, something like a cheerleader. Trixie gasped.
Everybody, they're cheering for me. I can hear them.
Actually, we're right here, Twilight's voice said. Guys, I just thought about it, but what if Checker in the Equestria Girls world is a member of Crystal Pep, and she is just as evil and conniving and cunning as she is there, and does mess with Trixie every single chance he's got. He's probably also paid about $500 to the changelings. I mean, to the sirens. Trixie jumped slightly as he found her friends around her.
How did you?
Checker dragged us into her dream too, but we broke out of our nightmares. Applejack explained. Pinkie Pie was in a cheerleader's outfit, with pom-poms she somehow held in her hose. If you watch Rainbow Falls, you know. But for some reason, our elements aren't showing up when I try to imagine them. Rainbow Dash complained, concentrating hard. Because the checker we've been fighting wasn't the real one, Twilight explained, with a realization sounding grim.
Darling, please elaborate,
Rarity replied, grimacing as Checker demolished another building, too close for comfort.
Trixie, where are you? Come out wherever you are!
The racing beast called with a bout of insane laughter. Checker divided her attention between the 7 of us, but it seems most of her attention was on Trixie. We beat a part of her, probably an important part, but the rest was here, Twilight explained. Now that we're where Checker really is, she's too experienced in manipulating dreams for us to overpower to take control. Trixie is the only one who can take it.
Trixie, are you having fun? I know I am!
Checker bellowed, giving a ferocious roar that sent Trixie hiding under a piece of rubble.
I can't!
Trixie stuttered, trembling in fear. Trixie, what? Twilight gasped as it hit her. You're afraid of Ursus, aren't you?
What? No! Trixie isn't! She isn't afraid!
Trixie said, not sounding convinced. Trixie, the more you reject it, the stronger you're going to make her. She gets more powerful the more your mental state is affected. Are you, or are you not afraid of Ursus? Be honest with yourself. Trixie hesitated for a moment before nodding.
Yes, I'm afraid.
Trixie, you're the only one here who's as experienced with dream manipulation as Checker is. If you don't stop her, there's no telling what might happen if her horn breaks for the stress he's putting on it, and the spell is interrupted suddenly. We could be trapped in a dream forever. Or worse, Twilight replied, hating putting this pressure on her, but knowing there was no other choice. Are we sure they didn't read this fic and just decided to adapt it for Rainbow Rocks? She put a hoof on Trixie's shoulder. Trixie, we've all got your back. We know you could stop her.
But...
Trixie started, letting out a shout as her crash found closer.
I can't! I'm too scared!
She exclaimed, practically cowering into a ball hyperventilating. First I put a hoof onto Trixie's shoulder.
Trixie, being brave isn't not being scared. It's doing the things you're afraid to.
Trixie gasped, looking at her friends over as they all stepped forwards and put a hoof on her shoulder or back as support.
Trixie, darling, we're not the only ones behind you. Our loved ones are all cheering us on,
Rarity added.
If you listen closely, maybe you can hear yours.
Trixie blinked, her eyes closed and concentrated.
Trixie, I know you're strong. Don't let Checker rule you a minute longer. You're stronger than she is!
Helping hoof, Trixie gasped, listening. She could feel him, like he was right there with her. Trixie gasped.
Grandmother!
Trixie, I've known you since you were a filly. You're stronger than Checker, because you're not afraid to listen to your heart. You've got your friends. You have me. We're behind you all the way. Trixie gasped. They're here. You're all here.
Darn tootin'! Now give that man what for, got it?
Applejack gasped, giving a smile before the others nodded, while Pinkie did a cheerleading routine. Checker laughed, ripping off the building of his foundations to reveal Trixie and her friends.
There you are, Trixie. And your little friends, too. What a wonderful surprise.
She screamed, giving a psychotic laugh.
I've always attained this game a little sick. But now, you're mine.
No!
Trixie said, looking up at her. Trixie's new costume manifested on her as she launched up, floating in the air and glaring dragons at her insane sister.
No! Trixie is not yours! Trixie is her own mayor!
Checker gasped, staggering back, crossing several houses as he did so.
What?
But you're supposed to be afraid. Trixie smirked.
Trixie is afraid of Ursa's, Checker. Trixie is terrified of Ursa's, but Trixie is more afraid about seeing her loved ones suffer. She's done being afraid of you, and she most certainly is done being alone. Trixie's friends, our grandmother, they all believe in Trixie. And because of that, Trixie believes in herself.
Go get her, Trix! Yelled Rainbow Dash as Twilight teleported the group to a safe distance to watch. You better believe I've got tricks up my sleeve. Watch me dominate, 'cause I'm powerful and great. On! Play the music, people! Checker snarled ferally, swinging her claw at Trixie, only to be nimbly evaded.
Hold still!
Trixie got back to a safe distance. Ever heard the story of how the evil Grogar was defeated, sister? Trixie asked. A magical bell's ringing destroyed his power. A massive ancient bell manifested behind Trixie as he bucked it as hard as he could. Checker roared in pain, covering her ears tightly and staggering back. You may not be Grogar, but in Ursa's ears are sensitive. Checker roared, slashing and smashing the bell, but Trixie evaded.
Stop moving!
Checker chased Trixie, biting and clawing at her, demolishing everything in her path but failing to catch her sister.
Checker, would you say you hate Trixie?
Checker snarled.
Yes, I hate you! Do you think I'd be doing this if I liked you?
She roared, slashing at Trixie, who evaded nimbly.
Well, that's quite unfortunate. Do you remember the Heartwarming Eve story?
Trixie asked, as Checker raised a massive paw to slash at her. A white spectral horse manifested, its circle checkered, facing through her claw, and freezing it solid before she could swipe.
It speaks of winter spirits called Wendigos, which feed on hatred, trapping those in its grip in ice.
Checker roared, ice forming around her body and trapping her in ice. However, a great scrape began to break it. Cracks began to spread out across the dream world and from the massive ice statue. Twilight gasped, Oh no! The dream world is breaking apart! Her horn must be close to breaking! Trixie teleported to the front of the group.
Then, shall we end the story?
Trixie asked, smiling to her friends.
You shouldn't yawn us,
Eddie replied.
We'll back you up.
You know what this is missing? The Rainbow Rocks ending with the freaking God Alicorn popping up and blasting Checker into little bitty pieces. Oh, we so need that. What? That was one of my favorite parts of Rainbow Rocks. And one of the reasons why I love Sunset Shimmer. Trixie nodded, turning to face Checker, the other standing behind her, concentrating along with her.
And of course, when the citizens of Dream Valley needed to vanquish the vile T-Rex, only one thing could defeat his dark power,
Trixie announced, a light appearing above the 7 ponies and descending to Trixie's hoof. A red heart-shaped locket manifested, hanging from its chain around her hoof.
The Rainbow Light!
Checker smashed her way free, roaring in rage, eyes completely animalistic. The 6 put a hoof on Checker's shoulder, or back, in support as he glared at Checker.
Checker!
Trixie exclaimed as she opened the locket, releasing a tiny, glowing rainbow.
Game over!
Yelled 7 as the rainbow grew into a massive one that twisted and wrapped around Checker before triggering a massive explosive light. Still needs a God Alicorn. It swirled around and grasped her, pulling her high into the sky, where another brilliant explosion caused the dream to vanish into white. Oh, by the way, the connection to Rainbow Rocks is not my only opinion. Here's the quote for TV Tropes. So basically,
The plot of Getting Back on Your Hooves is about a former smug snake antagonist being humbled after her previous defeat and having to restore her faith in herself and prove to everyone she's not the villain she used to be as the main six help her learn valuable lessons about friendship. Meanwhile, a suddenly creaky unicorn villainess uses her sinister mind control magic and manipulative talents to turn the populace against her and manipulate the growing tensions to her own designs. Does this sound familiar to anyone else? Oh yeah, I love this fic. Checker let out a cry of pain, falling backwards to the ground as Trixie's eyes opened. It's over. Checkmate. Nearasol awakened as well, hugging their worried families happily. Then he saw Trixie and rushed over to her, giving her a hug as well. You did it, Trixie! Twilight cheered, smiling wildly. That was some real good thinking with the Rainbow of that, Applejack said, putting her on the back. You were awesome, Trix! Rainbow Dash chimed in. Oh, you did it wearing the costume I made you. Quite stylish, Randy said, giving the mayor a smile. Piggy was somehow in her cheerleader uniform doing tears. Trixie, Trixie, go, Trixie! The CNC quickly joined her, though didn't have uniforms. Yay. Fluttershy cheered, getting a few chuckles, including her. Trixie then turned to Helping Hoof, who was standing next to her. Thank you, Helping Hoof, she said, giving him a hug. And Trixie forgives you. Helping Hoof looked shocked and gave a smile. Thank you, Trixie. Checker snarled, getting back on her hooves and trying to power up her horn again, only for a small explosion of magic go off in it, causing her to cry out in pain and stagger back. Several cracks running through her horn crackled with magic. She snarled like a wild animal and lowered her horn and charged Trixie and Helping Hoof head on. Trixie turned, seeing it coming, and she and Helping Hoof vanished in a fireworks explosion. Checker ran through it. It drove through her horn deeply into a support beam, causing herself to become stuck. Trixie staggered a little, still drained. She felt tired all over. She collapsed, but found herself supported by some pony. She looked up to find Helena smiling down at her. Grandmother? Trixie asked, tears welling up in her eyes as she looked at her grandmother. She hugged her grandmother and was hugged back. Grandmother, what are you doing here? Trixie, I am so glad to see you! But why are you here? I got your letter, sweetie, said Helena, smiling down at the younger unicorn. And I came to tell you my answer in person. Getting caught up in the fight was just coincidence, she explained, then looked down at Trixie against her forehead. And I forgive you. I'll always love my granddaughter, she answered, giving a smile and hugged Trixie again. Oh, that's so sweet, Fluttershy said, smiling. Even Rainbow Dash seemed to find it touching. Helena sighed, looking at Checker. Both of them. Even if I can be very disappointed in them. Shining Armor and the guards helped pull Checker out of the beam. Checker Monarch, you're under arrest, he replied, putting cuffs on her front legs. You know, if there's one thing I like more than an awesome manipulating villain, is watching said awesome manipulating villain have the world's greatest breakdown. Checker was lowered to a chariot with a closed top and a barrier between the driver and back seat to protect the driver. The mare kept her lid lowered, snarling with rage, but Shirley looking absolutely defeated. Helping Hoof was walked up to the passenger side door with cuffs on him as well. Both had small devices on their horns to block magic. Primarily in Checker's case to keep her from hurting herself as she tried to use magic again. Trixie looked at Helping Hoof, a conflicted expression on her face. Helping Hoof, you don't have to. You helped me stop Checker. Trixie is sure the princess would give you a pardon. Helping Hoof shook his head. No. I've helped Checker do so many awful things. I need to pay for it as well. I will testify against her, but I need to be punished. No, Trixie said simply. You deserve to atone for what you've done. Trixie understands, but atonement and punishment are not the same thing. Don't forget that. Helping Hoof gave a smile. Oh, remember that. Thank you, Trixie. Maybe we could be friends after, Trixie hugged him. We are friends.
Helping Huff gave a smile. Thank you, Trixie. He then gasped. Wait, the chauffeurs! What happened to them? They knew everything Ticker was doing and had less compulsion than I did.
Don't worry about them,
Said Helena, trying up with a smile.
I took care of them.
You had to open your big mouth, said one of them. The three now tried over with their own flight harness, hanging upside down in a tree as the guards came to get them upside down. How was I supposed to know their grandmother was listening? Exclaimed another one.
You don't mess with someone's grandkids,
Said Helena with a smile. Once he faded and looked at the police chariot. Helena walked over, looking at Checker with sad, disappointed eyes. Checker, she said with a sigh. They see his mare merely snarling like an animal.
I love you, Checker. I always will. But this was a choice you made. I tried to help you. But every time someone offered you help, you turned them down. I can't help you anymore. I'm sorry,
she said, turned away, a tear running down her cheek. Checker snarled.
Love is for the weak,
she stated with a glare. I don't need it. Trixie then walked up, giving her sister a glare.
Checker, a part of Trixie wants to say you've done nothing but hurt Trixie since the day she was born and tried to ruin her friends' lives. And surely we're the worst sister ever. And you've made your bed. Now lay in it, you monster!
She yelled in a dramatic fashion, causing Checker to give a smirk.
But then Trixie would still be a slave to you. So, instead, what Trixie is going to say is this. Trixie is done. She's done hating you. She's done letting you control her. She's done. I forgive you, Checker. And this shall be the last we see of each other.
If you guys watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, again, I can still totally see Jonathan saying this to a very beaten Dio if Dio didn't become a vampire. Checker snarled as Trixie walked away. And then snarled,
Come back here! You're not supposed to forgive me! You can't be done with me! I made you! I'm the one who controls you! Come back here!
Helping Huff looked back to the front seat. Checker, you do realize you could have just made up a story to cover yourself to the audience. And trapping them in a nightmare does incriminate you completely, and reveal your highly illegal dream limitation spell to the Royal Guards, correct? Trixie miserably beat her head against the glass, separating her from the front seat. Helping Huff merely chuckled. Diamond Tiara watched with her parents from the dwindling crown as all this transpired, looking genuinely scared. She looked up to her mother and father.
Mommy, Daddy,
she said, getting them to look at her. Yes, princess, asked her mother, looking down at her lovingly. I don't care what Ken says. We're going to have to do it this way.
I just wanted to say, I love you both. Dear Princess Celestia, I've learned a valuable lesson. One of the most valuable I've ever learned.
Trixie lowered food down to the flare-sized animals telekinetically. Offering flare-sized help with the unicorn got confused. It was accepted.
It doesn't make you weak to accept help when you need it. In fact, it makes you weaker if you don't.
Trixie carefully sewed patches onto dresses in Rarity's shop. Spike tapped her shoulder and, pointing to her mane, was laid on the cloth. Trixie smiled and folded back behind her head with telekinesis.
If you're not willing to accept help, then when you encounter something that is too much for you to handle on your own, you'll find yourself too weak to handle it. There's no shame in asking your friends to help you.
Trixie accompanied Applejack to Canterlot, standing by her friend and subtly giving her tips of presenting her apples with an air of refinement. Applejack won first. Even if halfway she broke down and gave her a Manhattan accent entirely. That actually seemed to become more popular.
And what's more, friends are wonderful things. When you're lost in darkness, a real friend will light the way. Sometimes a friend has to say things that hurt, because they're really things you need to hear.
While still in Canterlot, Full-blood approached Applejack, a look of guilt on his face, seeming quite timid in contrast to his normal personality. He offered an apology for how he had to her at the gala. It wasn't very prince-like of him. She accepted it.
Friendship is magic. It is the bond that holds ponies together. All it could do is make you stronger. It can defrost a cold heart.
Diamond Dogs performed community service in Ponyville to make up for helping Checker. Under the threat of whining by Rarity, they refused. Meanwhile, Trixie met Spike's new pet Phoenix, obtained while she and Applejack were in Canterlot, in an epic adventure where Trixie was presently being told about. Stiff as nails slowly approached her and looked up at her remorsefully, not sure what to say. She looked down at them and smiled, giving a nod and being hugged.
But only if you let it. No pony can be saved unless they want to be.
Helping Hoof, in a present, wearing appropriate garb, finished writing a letter and sending it to Trixie. They went over to the Intimate Learning Program, his class being in theater. Rarity loaded a mine full of card gems with Spike's help, while the Diamond Dogs took another mine cart with the exact same amount back down to the case with a wave.
But I know I wanted to be saved, and I was.
Trixie baked apples at Sugar Cube Corner. Pinkie Pie helped her whenever needed.
And I know I wouldn't trade my friends for anything.
Helping Hoof stepped off her carrots and was greeted by the whole group. Pinkie Pie having somehow set a party for him in the minutes it took him to disembark. "It's Pinkie Pie! What were you expecting?" Trixie trotted up to him, smiling at him. He smiled, then turned, causing Trixie to gasp when he saw her flank, seeing a theater curtain with Cutie Mark. She looked at him in shock, then hugged him, followed by another group hug with the rest.
Trixie, Little Moon, and Midsummer.
6 months later.
Trixie cannot believe they opened a theater in Ponyville. Whoever convinced them of that?
Asked Trixie, sitting at a table at Sugar Cube Corner with the others. It decked out a party in celebration, courtesy of Pinkie Pie, Derpy, Ditsy, Dinky. Pipsqueak, Snips, Snails, and the CMC were all present as well, along with several friends Trixie had made in the intervening time, including a yellow-furred, red-maned Pegasus with a game controller Cutie Mark. Everybody wave hi to Seth! Couldn't help that joke. Oh, and if you look closely, I think you can see Silver Shill asking help from Helping Hoof over there. Rarity averted her eyes.
I wouldn't know, darling,
she replied, looking left and right. Helena chuckled, sitting next to her granddaughter.
Well, regardless, I think we can thank the princesses they did.
Helena didn't live in Ponyville. She merely visited Trixie often. Unsurprisingly, she and Pinkie Pie got along silently.
Trixie nodded. Yes, very much so, she replied. Now Trixie and helping. Trixie means State's Hoof have stable jobs she enjoys.
She continued.
Soon, Trixie will be able to afford a house here in Ponyville.
Trixie still lived with Twilight, but a few months ago she had bought her own bed, so Twilight can have her own back. Suddenly made things much more enjoyable. State's Hoof, his new name after earning his Cutie Mark, lived in a small apartment in Ponyville at present, having been paid by Monarch to not to press charges for Checker's mistreatment of him. Wasn't enough to buy a house, but enough to help him get back on his hooves. The party was also to celebrate his new Cutie Mark.
Glad you are finally doing something you love, both of you,
said Twilight, smiling.
Me too. My father didn't approve, but I didn't care anymore. I'm tired of being a slave to him or anyone else,
State's Hoof replied, giving a bittersweet look. Trixie then nodded, looked serious. She floated up a smoothie.
Trixie would like to propose a toast,
she said, everyone taking a glass in whatever manner their race could.
Without you girls, Trixie would still be a homeless mare in the streets of Canterlot and under the hoof of her psychotic sibling.
Summer explained, her and Elena both looking a little sad as they thought about Checker.
Trixie honestly wants to say thank you, her friends, her grandmother, for all you've done. A toast to you all!
They toasted glasses
and drink. Twilight smiled and looked at Trixie, thinking about all that happened. How much Trixie had changed through all of this. She was now someone they were all proud of, Trixie herself included. She was finally getting back on her hooves. Cute letter to Celestia, and Twilight was happy to consider her a sister. Dear Princess Celestia, in a few months I've learned a valuable lesson. I won't say Trixie was an enemy, but she certainly wasn't a friend, nor were the Diamond Dogs and Helping Hoof. Stage Hoof. But eventually, through circumstances, we're now allies. It's amazing how much things have changed between us. The lesson I've learned is this. The best way to defeat an enemy is to make them your friend. Your faithful student, Twilight Sparkle. The end. Cue end credits! And cue song Live Again by Metacircle and Fragmented. You know, we never did a review on the original version. You're right. Well, should we? I believe so. After all, every pony's expecting it, right? By now, I think everybody knows we like to do these reviews. Right, so, martial art for user, if you don't mind, get your little flank to it. You're right, I should. This fic, I know you didn't read it all, and if you want to, I'll provide a link to where the rest of the parts are, but this fic has been grade A awesome in so many brilliant ways. As I said before, I'm still not sure Megan McCarthy didn't read this fic before making Rainbow Rocks. Come on, let's think about this carefully, shall we? Smug Snake Manipulators, Trixie to Sunset, and finally, really cool epic battle at the end. This is one of those times that it's hard for me to think of of a complaint, and the only one I've got is it's short. Some of the bits are really shorter, and that we don't get nearly enough time with Pinkie for Trixie's redemption on there. It's the little things. In comparison to all this other stuff I loved, great. This fic is probably the reason why I keep saying by 2017, I'm so nervous going into that movie that whatever film they come up with will never match up with one of the pony fics I've read. Come on, this felt like a movie. If you've read the previous chapters, you'll have seen that there was plenty of music cues to go around. This felt like an engaging story. Just throw in the other credits by Megan McCarthy or what have you. You've got the movie right here and there. Actually, this was kind of what I was hoping Equestria Girls was going to be like, but I digress. The main six were brilliant in this. See, this is how I felt like most of them would start acting towards Trixie. While Rarity and Applejack would of course have some problems, Fluttershy of course proves herself to be the kindest of all of them, being the most readily accepting. And while Pinkie Pie of course is a little nervous about it, she's ready to just jump in and bring out a new friend. And meanwhile, we're seeing Twilight bring out a lot of what's going to make her the Princess of Friendship later on. Ready to help out a mare that seems to be in trouble, and also willing to give her a chance to redeem herself. Heck, that whole line at the end where she said the best way to defeat your enemy is to make her your friend almost feels like a perfect tool to point out how she beat both Sunset and Starlight. Kind of makes me think of Wonder Woman's motto, actually. And, of course, Usagi, the Princess of Friendship. See, this is the real Twilight. We can forgive moments like what happens in, say, No Second Prances, because you can just easily written that either the writers messed up this once and wrote her out of character, or B, you can say that it was her paranoia and anxiety and antsiness messing her up. I personally like to think it was just her paranoia, her antsiness, her tendency to jump conclusions, and, of course, her acting like a parent. Thinking that, okay, Trixie might not be the best to start off with because of her arrogance, her ego. But that's just my opinion of the whole thing. We're seeing here Twilight at her best. Willing to bring in Trixie, help her out whenever she could, and trying her best to solve every single problem that comes her way. Rima Das, of course, is the one that is the toughest to try to get her to accept. I guess it's because I see her thinking as this. You're okay, but if you betray her or tick her off, it's going to take a lot more effort to actually get her to trust you. Yes, I know montage and all that, but that's a montage. 20 seconds tops. We don't know what happened in between. It could, for all we know, turn out to be like the scene. And, of course, I'm not going to leave here without talking about one of my favorite reasons for loving this fic. Checker motherfucking Monarch. I love villains that manipulate you, that always seem to have a plan within a plan, or try to upstage you. Because to me, that's a lot scarier than a powerhouse that is able to hit you for 5,000 points of damage. Because that I know I can beat. That I know I can actually handle because all I need to do is overpower it. But a manipulator? I still don't know if I'm going to win or lose. Because I don't know if she's got some sort of backup plan within that backup plan. I also find it interesting because, in another way, if I had read this fic now, Checker would also become one of my favorite villainous OCs. Actually, she's, of every single villain OC I've ever met and read about in any pony fic, she's number 2 on that list. Right below Red Eye from Fallout Equestria. But if I had read her right after today, she would have also become my favorite because she would have made me think of one of my favorite anime villains of all time. And if you've read JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, you'll know him. That's right, me, Dio! I mean, there's so much alike. I don't know if Shadow Raikou and Godzilla Wolf actually read JoJo's Bizarre Adventure before this, but much like Trixie, Dio came to Jonathan's life as an older brother and continued to torture him, destroy his life, break him down for no other sole reason than just to prove that he was stronger and that he could contain power over Jonathan and make Jonathan beg before him. Shoot! He freaking stole the first kiss between Jonathan and Arena just because Dio couldn't stand the fact that Jonathan was actually happy. And I think that's another reason why I love Checker so much. Sociopaths who like to pick one person and start destroying them systematically for no other reason than just it amuses them, like Checker, they exist. They happen in real life. They don't pull out these schemes like Checker does in this fic, but they exist. They happen. And they're scary. They're scary because they are so demented, they will harm you. I guess that's why makes Checker's breakdown so awesome. I also love her because, well, she does also make me think of Azula from Avatar. Heck, whenever I read Checker, in my head, I hear Azula's voice. That's right, Great Elise doing the voice of Checker Monarch. Wouldn't that be cool if it actually happened? I also feel like Checker is the type of villain that would make a good reoccurring bad girl. And heck, would top
several of the other villains that would show up even in the show proper. And I think that's another thing that adds to this fic's awesomeness is that end fight. I kind of take this time to actually read the end battle whenever I need inspiration of how to get to the girls' fight. Or sometimes even when to remind myself of what makes the girls' eats awesome. And that end fight, that little battle in the dream world, practically puts it all on the line and summarizes it all. The main six are more than just their usual character counterparts. Fluttershy is more than just, "Oh my, please don't hurt me." There's more to each of them. Verity isn't the type of mare who just loves being the damsel in distress. She would get annoyed by that idea. She doesn't see herself as a damsel. She is a lady. And a lady is noble. It doesn't always have to rely on the big strong stallion. She just does it because, well, it's expected of a lady. But Verity can handle herself. She knows that. Each of the main six have their strengths and weaknesses, and that's why I love them all. Their faults are what make them relatable. Their strengths are what make me love them. And I love how this fic has Checker bring out all their weaknesses against them, brings out everything they've got, and the main six then point out their own strengths. But did you notice the undercurrent theme? It isn't just them that bring out their strengths. They also realize that each one of them brings out their own unique strengths. And that end battle with the alicorn just puts it out all on the table. With probably that whole entire bit where they said, facing down an alicorn is nothing when you face off against the real thing. We faced off against bad guys like Nightmare Moon in Discord. Beating you is no problem. You guys may have seen me raid a few Mike and fics. As far as Mike is concerned, he thinks that just because, oh no, they got beaten by a rainbow beam means that they're weak and, oh, they only need the elements of harmony. No, they don't. They are the elements of harmony. It's because through them, they know how to take down a god or the freaking embodiment of chaos. The elements of harmony only highlights what's there, Mikey. Hate to tell you this, but your team looks weak in comparison. And oh so pathetic. Also, the end fight also highlights just why these teams are so awesome. Because they know how to handle it. They power through it because they're together. And this is why I hope will show up in the movie when it comes out. This is why I love that end fight of Rainbow Rocks. But there's a huge other reason why I love this fic. I suppose it's interesting that I chose to read my fanfic anniversary, this particular fic, for my anniversary, a few weeks after No Second Princess was Feast's return of the great and powerful Trixie. Because, you see, when I first saw Trixie, I didn't think much of her. To me, she was just the typical rival character who thinks that she might be all that in a bag of chips. But in the end, she's nothing. Maybe, just maybe once in a while, shows up and maybe causes some harm or some danger. But in the end, Twilight would win and show off like she's awesome, and Trixie runs away going, "You won't run this around, Captain Twilight!" You gotta remember, this was back in 2010 when the show started. EQD did not exist at the time. And there were no ways for me to communicate as much with the fandom as I do now. Shoot, even when EQD came into town, the only way I knew about Derpy was through TV tropes who mentioned the heartwarming moments of Derpy. Shoot, I didn't even know about Lyra and Bon Bon until somebody points them out to me. But a few months later, in 2011, a certain fic came out, Pony POV. I read it. It's awesome. It gave Trixie a backstory, but I still saw her as a rival character. Enjoyed laughing at her when she lost in Cool Kids My Little Avengers. That was it. Then I saw an interesting pic. It was on one of EQD's Straw Friends, where Checker Monarch was guarding down at Trixie. And I was quite curious about this piece of fan art, like, what on earth is this? Why is there an evil Trixie glaring down at little Trixie? And why is Trixie backing away? And that's when I found out about getting back on your hooves. And I decided to read it. And that is when I started to like Trixie. It was this fic. Because, well, I started seeing more to her. I saw her as a good redeemer character. A character who had to struggle with her own past. A character who pushed through her own mistakes and tried to fix it. Well, that soon led to me reading the Luniverse, and, well, here I am, doing the Luniverse stories. Since then, Trixie has become a kind of a mare for me to write. I love writing for her. I love putting her into stories where she's facing off against unbeatable odds. And wins them not because she's like Twilight or Sunset, where she can powerhouse through it and use superior strength, or Dash use superior speed, but rather she's an illusionist and wins through her cunning, her mind, and her guile, not needing all that excess power, just trickery and her wiles. I love adding her redeeming character, her as a student of Luna, and all the trickery and intelligence and skill that provides. And heck, she's even become kind of like the mascot of my channel now, where I pretend that she berates me, beats me, and knocks me out. But I only do that because I figured if you're going to have a bad boss, why not make it Trixie and have a little fun with it? I love writing for her because, well, she's a great character to write for and quite fun. Trixie has become a well-developed character through our fandom. And I think that's one thing I realized we've done with her. Is that by now, Trixie has kind of become her own mare. Does the same rate as Ditsy and Lyra, and nothing's really going to ever change that about her. Trixie will always be the type of character who'll find ways to use types of tricks and trades. And for me, my love of using this mare, and talking about her and writing her, all began with this awesome fic. Which is why, when I listened to it, I felt a little down about the audiobook. That the guy didn't finish it. That he went almost a whole year without adding a new chapter. And I know he hasn't done anything new because I'm subscribed to him. Which is kind of why I got started doing this. Because, well, it's kind of sad to see some people stop some of these fics right in the middle before you get to the good parts. It's also sad that there are hundreds, no, thousands of great fics out there that we haven't got to. And with our numbers, there's no way we're going to be able to get to them, especially some people who decide to stick with mainly just one-parters. That's what I'm here for. I read these multi-chapters, so that way people can see all the great stories out there. Yeah, it's a little long sometimes, but I wouldn't trade it in the world. I love doing these, and I love bringing them to you.
I love reading them, and I love doing this adventure. And I want to keep on doing that for many, many years to come.
Because quite frankly, on FimFic, I still got several long chapters to go, and there ain't no way I'm probably going to get those done by the time T5 comes around.
Maybe by the time of 45, I might have 4/3 of them done. But that is on its own. This story remains on its own as awesome. I do hope you all enjoyed the ride. One down, 1,000 to go. I'll see you next time.